What's up, you football degenerates? It's SOG Football here, back with another top 10 list. Today we will be counting down the top 10 best tight ends of all time based on talent and career accomplishments. Keep in mind, while it's easy to just look at the receiving stats, these players played in completely different eras. Some of these players listed were pioneers of the position and changed the way it was played forever. Also keep in mind that while nowadays it's an afterthought, blocking is an important trait for tight end, and this list will rank accordingly. Anyways, that's enough fluff, and let's get started with this list. Starting off at number 10, we have Ozzie Newsome, who is a perfect example of why I prefaced the criteria in the intro. While you look at Ozzie Newsome's career stats, and they don't really look that impressive by today's standards, it's extremely important to consider the era in which he played. At the time of his retirement in 1990, Newsome held the record for most receiving yards by a tight end in the NFL history. He now sits 9th all time, but still set the bar for modern day tight ends. He brought excitement and flash to the position with his receiving ability, which helped redefine the position. It's also worth mentioning that his football career extended past the field as he became a Super Bowl winning executive for the Baltimore Ravens. Next up on this list is number 9, Mike Ditka. Football player, coach, actor, Mike Ditka did it all. On the field, he was a wrecking ball in every sense of the word. When he had the football in his hands, he ran with it like a fullback, punishing would-be tacklers. It wasn't much different when he was blocking either, as he built a reputation as one of the hardest guys to get by. That's why they called him Iron Mike. Mike Ditka made the most out of his limited opportunities. He has the most impressive rookie season ever in 1961, recording an astounding 1,076 yards and 12 touchdowns in only 14 games. 14 games. That record still holds today, which is absolutely ridiculous considering Kyle Pitts was the only other tight end to ever record over 1,000 yards with 1,026, but it took him all 17 games to get there. And at number 8 on this list is another legend of the game, John Mackey. Before I say anything, watch this play. It is one of the greatest single effort plays ever, as he bounced off pretty much every defender for the opposing team on his way into the end zone. This is the true pioneer of the position, as nobody had ever brought his kind of speed to the tight end. And it showed. John Mackey consistently looked like the best player on the field at a position that was always an afterthought. In only 10 seasons, John Mackey made his mark as the best tight end ever by the time he retired. The talent caught up to him, but it's fair to say he inspired generations to come. He truly revolutionized the position. Again, just look at the highlights. This guy was truly ahead of his time. Look at the plays above. They may be in black and white, but this is the talent of someone in today's game. John Mackey was a god. Cowboys fans, grab your pitchforks, and Cowboys haters rejoice. Moving on to number 7 on this list is Mr. Reliable, Jason Witten. If you look at his career, 13,046 receiving yards and 1,228 receptions, which both rank second all-time for tight ends, you would assume he'd be top 3 on this list. But hear me out. Jason Witten was the ultimate security blanket. He had glue hands and seemingly never made a mistake. When it came to blocking, it was the same story. He was willing to do anything to help his team get the win. This ranking is not disrespecting Jason Witten, but rather showing respect to those ranked above him. The reason I've ranked him this low is because of the volume. He was force-fed underneath routes his entire career. That's why his stats are the way they are. His 10.6 yards per reception compared to someone like Gronk with 15 yards per reception proved that. This wasn't a freak athlete like those ranked above him, but instead someone who was hyper-reliable. Still, he was one of the best at the position, and you can't deny that, no matter how much you hate the Cowboys. And moving on to number 6 on this list is Kellen Winslow. No, not Kellen Winslow Jr., the one in prison. Kellen Winslow Sr., a pioneer to the position. John Mackey had one of the best single effort plays of all time, but Kellen Winslow had one of the best single effort games. It was called the Epic in Miami. In this playoff game, he caught 13 passes for 166 yards and a touchdown. He blocked a crucial field goal attempt and played through numerous injuries that forced him to be carried off the field by his own teammates. This was the literal definition of leaving it all on the field. He was the heart and soul of the Chargers' prolific Air Coryell offense. His outstanding athleticism and versatility allowed him to line up in multiple positions on the field and paved the way for tight ends and the way defense had to count for them. And I couldn't get through this list without giving this man an honorable mention, Jimmy Graham. In his prime, there is no doubt that Jimmy Graham deserves a top 10 nod, especially with his receiving ability. But that isn't what this list is about. Over his best season, he recorded 1,215 yards and 16 touchdowns. He was an absolute unit on the field and Drew Brees' favorite target. His athleticism dropped off later in his career, but his highlight catches remained. If it weren't for his abysmal blocking ability early on, I would have included him on this list. That being said, honorable mention is no joke. And kicking off the top 5 for this list, we have Shannon Sharpe. Known for his charismatic personality on TV today,
Skip. You know what, Skip?
He had the same larger-than-life personality in the football field. This man dropped all the way until the 7th round of the NFL draft, and teams lived to regret it. He was an oversized receiver in football, and his transition to tight end was seamless. He became a game changer with his field stretching and yards after the catch ability. His 10,344 receiving yards and 808 receptions both rank 5th all-time for tight ends, making this ranking an easy one. He also had back-to-back Super Bowl victories for the Denver Broncos in 1997 and 1998, as well as a Super Bowl with the Ravens in 2000. He played a key role for both teams' playoff run. And now, moving on to number 4 on this list is the touchdown machine Antonio Gates. Shannon Sharpe was a 7th round pick, but Antonio Gates wasn't even drafted. Yes, you heard me right. Not a single team thought Antonio Gates was worth a draft pick. That has to do with him being a basketball player converting to football, but after Tony Gonzalez, teams should have known better. His ability to box out defenders and high point the ball translated perfectly to the pro level. His remarkable red zone efficiency was unmatched, as he still holds the record for most receiving touchdowns ever for a tight end. Sadly, he doesn't have the Super Bowl to his name, but blame that on the playoff choking Chargers. Antonio Gates was that dude. And now, we are moving on to the best of the best in the top 3. These are the unanimous best 3 tight ends ever that are all interchangeable in my opinion. At number 3 is Travis Kelce. I try not to let recency bias get the best of me, but at this point I have to give Travis Kelce his flowers. Kelce ranks 4th all-time in receiving yards and receptions and will continue to rise as he finishes his career. He also became the first tight end ever in NFL history to have 5 consecutive seasons with over 1,000 receiving yards. His combination of size, speed, and agility, along with his precise route running ability, makes him an impossibility to cover with only one single defender. Kelce is the product of all the great tight ends before him, making him the best tight end in the NFL today. My only knock on him would be his blocking, but he actually has developed into a much better blocker late in his career. He likely has his older brother, Jason Kelce, to thank for that. And now at number 2 is the original basketball player converted tight end, Tony Gonzalez. I have to admit, it was really hard not to rank Tony G as the best tight end ever. He has the most receiving yards and receptions ever by a tight end, and it's really not even close. Longevity does that. He is the model of consistency when he retired at 37 years old, as his play was still at a top level. Tony G could have very well played until he was 40. He was an Iron Man who only missed 2 games over a 17-year career. That is insanity, and it really shows off how hard he worked. He was not only one of the best players for the Chiefs over his time, but also with the Falcons. The only reason I have not ranked him first is because I believe the next player in this list, in his prime, was better. If you're one of those people that thinks Tony Gonzalez is the best tight end ever, I can't fault you at all. But for me, I had to get nitpicky when determining the best of the best. And of course, the moment you have all been waiting for, the best tight end of all time is none other than Rob Gronkowski. In his prime, there was no better tight end than Gronk. Not only was he the best receiver on the field, but also the best blocker. While you can easily quantify a player's receiving ability, it's not as easy for blocking. But let me be clear, this man was an absolute force and game changer in the running game. I can't understate how much that dual threat ability opens up for an offense. Now back to his receiving ability. For someone his size, he had an uncanny ability to make jaw-dropping catches and make plays after the catch. He played with a reckless style that led to highlight plays and ultimately got him in trouble with injuries. His clutch performances will forever be etched in the history of the NFL. He holds the record for most receiving touchdowns by a tight end in the postseason and came in clutch for all 4 of his Super Bowl victories. If everything was on the line, there is no tight end I'd rather have than Rob Gronkowski, and that is why I ranked him number 1 on this list. And that concludes my top 10. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Like, subscribe, and comment below, and be the first to tell me I'm wrong. Also, be sure to check out the thumbnails above for more top 10 lists. There is no definitive right way to rank these lists, so I appreciate any and all opinions. I usually re-rank these lists as they go along, so be sure to let me know what you think. Anyways, have a good one. Peace.